You're watching Ride the Teacups, and I just watched Waking Sleeping Beauty. So Waking Sleeping Beauty is a documentary, full-out documentary. It's about an hour and a half, so full-length feature about Disney's kind of turning the page, no pun intended, with their animation studio. And what does the animation behemoth do after Walt Disney dies and you've kind of struggled to find yourself in the years since? So Waking Sleeping Beauty is all about kind of the time period as they're getting into things like The Little Mermaid and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and those type of things, where they're coming from other things like The Great Mouse Detective and The Rescuers Down Under, which maybe didn't perform nearly as well as they were hoping. And Disney is kind of trying to figure out how to get from where they've been to continuing to be this powerhouse and how they kind of manage those struggles. Really, it takes a very in-depth and honest look at the Michael Eisner years with Wells, and gives a very good insight to Jeffrey Katzenberg, along with several other prominent Disney behind-the-scenes folks who actually make these decisions and make things happen. It's a very honest look about how the artists were interacting with the higher-ups and kind of the disconnects and things that were happening, and kind of the power struggles and a lot of the questions that were being asked and the uncertainties behind the scenes of a lot of these great films, along with, you know, who gets the recognition for the work when it's finally done. It takes a very honest look at all of those types of things. So the way our rating system works is we have a 5 teacup system. First 2 are, should you watch this together as a family? The second 2 are generally, should your kids watch this by themselves? And then the last possible teacup is, does it include the Disney magic, which is almost impossible to define, but you definitely know when it's there and you definitely know when it's not. Should your family watch this together? I would give this maybe a 1 out of 2 teacups. It's a documentary style, and we don't ever take off points because we didn't like the genre of something, but it is a documentary. Some other documentaries, like, for example, Prop Culture, your kids could actually still get involved with and kind of see the behind the scenes of how their movies kind of came to life and still appreciate it while you watch. If you want to see a review of Prop Culture, by the way, you can click right up here. We've got it for you. But this documentary deals much less with the animation and the end result itself, and instead goes through the process and the behind the scenes and the people. I've got younger kids. This is not something that they would enjoy even a little. I was absolutely engrossed and loved it and was just hanging off of every word. But it's not something that your kids, even some of your older kids, you know, unless they really have a drive towards, you know, Disney animation or art in general, it's probably something they're not going to be terribly involved with either. If you are that family, that's great, and I envy you. It's a fantastic watch for that. But for most families, this is probably not something you're going to sit down together to watch on a Friday night together. Our second score is, should your kids watch this by themselves? And for things like this, it's not really fair because your kids are not their target audience. This is specifically designed for adults, for adult artists, for adults who have Disney nostalgia and grew up with this stuff. It's really targeted towards adults. So we're going to ask the question, is this something that adults should you watch by yourself? And this is a big yes, big 2 out of 2. I am a sucker for all things behind the scenes. Of course, also with Disney, even more so, because we don't get to see that nearly as often. And it's not just seeing how they made it, but it's the honesty, the raw honesty that is not flattering for the Disney company or its employees of the time, even a little. The Eisner years after the death of Wells were not the greatest time in Disney history, and we're taking a very honest look. And people like Don Bluth and Katzenberg were very talented, but were also very divisive, and you get to see how that actually plays out And for me, it's really interesting to see how Disney ended up, but also kind of the journey of how you got from point A to point B and all of, the stumbles and pitfalls and successes on the way, along with people trying to claim credit and trying to climb their own ladders. Really interesting because of its honesty. And so I think absolutely this is worth your time as an adult. Again, I think you have to really be, really be involved with things like documentary pictures in order for that to apply. But once again, we don't add or take off points because you didn't like the genre. It's a documentary. If you don't like documentaries, you won't like it. For the rest of us, watch it. Like now. And then does this have Disney magic? And the more of these reviews I do, the easier it's getting to define that, or I guess maybe the more possible it's getting to define it. It's still not easy to define, but it involves a story that is, I don't want to say real, again, it's so hard to define, but it's authentic and it's deep and it's caring and it's sincere and sometimes very raw. And this really checks all of those boxes. It's a very real look. It's a very authentic look. It doesn't try to pull the curtain over the things that are not so great in Disney history. It shows you them. They're on display. They're right there. They don't hide from it. They don't shy away from it. They do learn from it, which of course is something we should all do. Mainly, I think it's appropriate. You're not going to find a person or a company who's never made mistakes, but it's how do you handle them and where do you go from there? How do you recover from them? How do you react from them? Sometimes we do that well and sometimes we don't. And I love the authenticity and just the realness that's being sold here. So I think, yes, this is going to get my teacup for Disney Magic, meaning that our final score is a big 4 out of 5 teacups. That's a great score, especially for a documentary series. If you're into, documentary series, behind the scenes Disney history, kind of how that all came about, you cannot watch this fast enough. Get on Disney Plus right now and check it out. Hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Thanks so much for watching our Disney Plus review. We hope that it's been worth your time and earned a like right down here, that big thumbs up button that you have right below the video. If you want more reviews and things that we think might be worth your family night time together, click right here for our next review. If you want more just about Ride the Teacups and what we do, we like helping people enjoy Disneyland magic at the parks and at home, right here. And if you want to subscribe to our channel, we would love to get to know you, make you part of the community. How about right here, right above my head. Thanks for watching. We will see you guys next time we ride the teacups.